Hello, everyone. This is Jay, and I want to thank you for joining me with this first episode of Somnilopod. Just to give you some background, Somnilopod is going to focus on sleep disorders, sleep science, and sleep medicine. My background is in psychology as well as medicine, and I have worked as a sleep educator, a sleep technologist, a manager of a sleep disorder center, done consult work for outside sleep labs as well. So I'm pretty well versed in all of the aspects of what happens within the sleep disorder centers that focus on all of these interesting things. Now, what I would like to try to do is be sure and get a lot of feedback from you. So please be sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and any of the other social medias that I can figure out how to use, because sometimes it takes me a little while to get to that. But please do follow along with me. One of the things that sort of led me to develop a podcast, part of my job is to do some patient education and community outreach. So I always like to try to find some simple, basic information to give people an idea of what I'm talking about, or why sleep is an important part of our lives. So I was looking recently on the Center for Disease Control website. It's cdc.gov, and I just wanted to get some basic information about sleep time. One of the things you'll hear, and you've probably heard this before, recommendation is to get about 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. Most people benefit from that. Some people need a little more. Some can get by in a little bit less, but on average, 7 or more hours of sleep is what is recommended. So the CDC does a really good job of putting together graphs and maps and things that have a lot of informatics. So they incorporate statistics into these things, and it makes it really easy to read. So that's what I was looking for. And I found a nice map of the United States, and it's colored in various shades of yellow, orange, burnt umber, and red. Pretty much the entire map is at least yellow. And the statistical value that they assigned to that for the people that they surveyed was that 24 to 30% of the people surveyed in the yellow category were getting less than 7 hours sleep. And that was for the entire country, 24 to 30%. So whenever I look at things like this, just to try to bring a little more meaning and make it a little more at home, I like to look at my area to see where we fit, just to sort of see if we're better or worse than anybody else. And I know that sounds elitist, but I like to do that. So I looked at Kentucky, which is where I'm located, and I don't know that I've seen a darker color red than what Kentucky was presenting. So what that represents statistically for their survey was that 38 to 48.5% of the people in Kentucky reported less than 7 hours of sleep. That's not real good, y'all. So it sort of got me thinking. And one of the things that we do through sleep medicine and sleep testing is to try to make sure that people understand, as I mentioned, the role of sleep in our lives. So it was just sort of a wake-up call for me that I needed to up my game. And by doing a podcast, I figured I could get a little bit more word out to some people, and hopefully you'll share it with your friends and find it an enjoyable thing to investigate with me. Now, what sort of things will we be covering? Well, as I mentioned, give me some ideas. I have a lot of things that I would like to talk about. But I want to try to keep it fairly grounded in science. But let's be honest, there are some things that happen at night that are just freaky. So every now and then we may have a fun episode to talk about some of that stuff. Things in particular are what we call parasomnias, and those are the really wacky things that happen, sleepwalking, sleep talking, that sort of thing. So we'll cover some of those things and hopefully in an enjoyable way. I throw around the term sleep medicine a lot. And just to give you an idea of what sleep medicine is, it is a subspecialty of medicine, and it's relatively new. It's actually come about just in the past probably 50, 60 years. Historically, when we tried to research sleep, really all you could do was compare sleep to wake and just see what was happening there. The technology wasn't really good enough until the early 20th century to be able to start quantifying these things scientifically. So with the use of the EEG, which is an electroencephalogram, researchers were able to start to see that, instead of just going to sleep and doing this passive thing like laying there, your brain was actually doing different things during different parts of the night. That's one of the things that I always found was fascinating. These early researchers that began to ask those questions and use that technology to be able to answer them. So we'll cover some of that stuff. But when I mention sleep medicine, that's pretty much what I'm talking about. It's developed into an industry that is both academic research and clinical treatment for patients. So we'll cover all of those aspects. So thank you again for joining me. I don't want to go into too much with this introductory episode, but do remember to like and follow on your favorite podcast service, and check things out on Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, etc. And we will talk again. Thanks.